Hello and welcome to this live code hangout. I'm Briley. Today we will be working on the Piano Fitness app built with the Godot engine. Let's take a quick preview of the app. I'm going to run it here. We can see it's a basic piano user interface with a highlighted key here. And what I'm looking at is a right hand scale practice in the key of C. Now if I go to my piano, the practice leads me through that particular scale. Let's switch to G. The idea is we want to learn all of the scales, chords, and arpeggios in all of the keys, because every key matters, in the words of piano teacher Casey, Kevin Connolly, I believe is his name. And teachers like Casey and Warren have been very inspirational in this app. I like their pedagogy, the way they teach, and the importance that they put on the fundamentals and having a grasp, like muscle memory of all of the fundamentals. So the practice here is to create a game that helps you progress through your knowledge, starting at your own pace, working slowly, focusing on accuracy over speed, and practicing all these concepts. And ideally it'll keep track of how accurately and smoothly you played those and at what speed, and help you improve gradually over time. So today we're just focusing in on the basics of the app. We don't have the tracking and things yet. So one thing is I've just recently upgraded to Godot 4.4, and I think as a result our unit tests may or may not still work, and I'm not sure what exactly broke. Okay. So I think a first step would be just to get these unit tests working. Godot doesn't have built-in testing framework like some GDScript, I guess. Some languages are providing that experience out of the box. It's sort of like maybe not as common in game development, and the tests are more complex and tend to probably be more integration oriented. Although I'm very much a fan of languages and frameworks that give you the basics like formatting, testing, or linting and such out of the box. You don't have to like go to the ecosystem and find a solution that may or may not be fully baked, have maybe only one maintainer, things like that. So we'll be working. So yeah, we don't have any output here. We'll be working with GitHub Copilot. There we go. I'll show you how we'll do that. Make sure I'm connected to the chat. Good. So I've got the project open here in GitHub Copilot. We're on the main branch. I'll just make sure our changes are the most recent. And if I go to the tests, so currently we're in a chords major. Test chords major. So we can look at our tests. They're all located here. Right here, test chords major. Unit. And if I just run this one test, we get a error. Attempted to call a function get practice keys in base null instance. Musical constants. So this could actually just be a refactor. So we look for this musical constant scripts. No longer, the auto load no longer exists. Okay, so this was just something I did without running the tests. I'd like to get the tests running in CI. That way I would just automatically get called out for making mistakes like that. It's not a big deal. We all, make mistakes as part of it. So constants, musical constants. So let's try that, constants. The reason is I was switching to an explicit import, so we won't have this like globally auto-loaded musical constants instance anymore. So I can reload that from the disk. It's got my change. It doesn't reload it kind of dynamically like VS Code, so you just have to hit this confirmation dialog. So now if I run the chords major, maybe we'll see some results. Okay, risky and pending one, script matching. So I guess it says it's passing. So that's a good sign. So as long as we can get our our tests working, I'll be happy. So actually, let's go into a branch. And I'd kind of like to just run all the tests and see what else breaks. Okay, everything passed. So we just had that one issue. There's some error. The variable finger has an enum type and does not accept explicit default. Default will be set to 0. Yeah, this is curious. I'm wondering if we're doing this incorrectly. The local function parameter pitch is shadowing this. And I guess there's a scope issue with that. So let's see what would be a good approach here. This is in fingered note, copy error. Okay, this is good. We have our sort of IntelliSense is working. Language server. Ah, yeah, that makes sense. There we go, it's clean. And then this one is probably just okay, so setting a default finger makes sense. Okay, we can get rid of some of these. Ah, yes, so we don't need to instantiate this if I'm inside of the fingered note, if I'm actually exporting that. I don't know which is better. I kind of like having these explicit variables. All right, so let's clear these out and see if we've made a little bit of improvement here. Finger node is not declared in the current scope. Yes, so stack trace. Now we need to import the fingered node, since it's no longer a global class. We'll have to repeat this in many files. So what I'm going to do, I wonder if there's a way I can exclude these UID files. They just are so noisy. And you'll notice that the Godot editor doesn't display them by default. So let's see. File browser or Explorer, I guess. Folders view. And I might just search for that. Files exclude. Beautiful. I like that. All right, so this is good. The problem is I can't set this editor path because this would be the Mac specific editor path. So people on Windows wouldn't be able to necessarily. Oh, it was already set like that. Well, I'll leave it as it is for now, but beautiful. Well, I guess while I'm here, how can we make it more universal? I'm just using the ask interface here, so it's like a basic chat, but you see I can kind of get these changes. Oh, beautiful. OS specific. Let's see if that's valid though. Yeah, so this Godot 4 expected a string here. It doesn't take a dictionary. So this is actually a plugin called Godot Tools. And it's not an officially maintained one, so I think I would have to ask. Just a bit of an oversight, I guess the maintainer of this plugin's not used to working in multi operating system development teams or environments, something like that. In any case, I'll leave it alone for now. Okay, so this is kind of a breaking change, and it's kind of out of scope for the just fixing the tests. But anyway, each of these I'm going to have to import fingered note. So that's one thing I'll come back to. But I'm also just no longer going to export these global classes. It's kind of a weird thing that Godot does, is have these global namespaces. Okay. Now we'll go to the top. Now we've got a lot of red. Let me just close everything out here. All right, we'll go to the top. Let's see, why is everything red? I think this is a transitive error because this file doesn't have fingered note. Then these files are just like in chaos. So let's see what we can do here. So this whole thing is the fingered note class. That's what I need to do. Models. Scripts. Models. Fingered note.gd. The only thing I changed in fingered note was to remove the class name and change the init. Honestly, this is something that really confuses me about just Godot and GDScript. Is like the whole import. It's honestly just like a frustrating mess. It seems like if I understood it better, that wouldn't feel so frustrating. I might not think it's a mess. But coming from almost every other language, TypeScript, Python, I just don't have this same weirdness. and why this resource is able to be seen here when I haven't imported it. That's just kind of so weird to me. I removed the global class, so it should be kind of not visible. And I'm kind of just in the mood where I'd almost prefer not to be developing with Godot anymore. I'd rather be making this game in kind of TypeScript or some like web platform. The problem is the main feature of this app revolves around MIDI, and MIDI doesn't work in Safari. WebMIDI, Apple doesn't support that, so I can't really make this app with WebMIDI. That's what's really confusing me. If I go back here, it's no longer defined. There's no global class defined. It's like the LSP is not picking it up. I'm going to close Godot and reopen it. There's no fingered note export here. It's just extending the resource. Now, okay. Okay, now we're looking better. So, yes, now we're looking better. Good. Yes. So I'm just going to turn all these red so I can keep track of where we've got the problem, where I need to import fingered node. Right there. Save that. Right here. Save this. Nice. I mean, any language and ecosystem, it's going to have weird frustrations. So, and admittedly, this is not just a Godot thing, but this may be more of a familiarity thing, of course. And I'm much more familiar with kind of web development type stuff. No position. So this might be shadowing the global. Let's see what we get. If I just hop over there, I think that's the problem. Okay, there we go. And then where was I? Shadowing. Should no longer be shadowing. I don't know how to get it to refresh that. The lesson of the day for me is to learn more about Godot's, like importing in these global class names, and use those class names less. I prefer explicit imports, so that's going to be fine. That's going to be fine. That's going to go away soon. So now our exercises, I think, are in good shape, though. They're very good. I wonder if these should actually extend resources as well. I don't know. Let's hop back over to Godot. parse error. I'm going to close Godot again. Exercise manager, parse error. Okay. It doesn't really give much reason for it. Okay. This is just a warning about integer division. But there's no change. This is a weird thing. Ooh. Okay. Here we go. Now we're getting into it. Just the language server is a bit kind of slow. It's not picking up stuff fast, so and practice sequence is a top level class, so I don't need the sub. There we go. And then what else does it say? Shadow global identifier, which is not the case anymore. The language server just hasn't like caught up to that. Restarted. Maybe that's an easy way of doing it. Yeah, okay, that's easier than having to close everything down. Nice. What's this? It's just the signal's not being used. And can't find note position. So I believe we're not really using hand here. I don't know if there's another syntax for these things, or if it's even possible this could be a hallucination. That doesn't seem to work. What about just ignore? Type ignore. With or without space. I can ignore it, but it would be nice to like not see it anymore. Well, all right. Cool. All right, so let's continue. Musical constants. Need note position. Not getting a lot of help from the LSP. Not a lot of conventions to follow. I'm just sort of, is this a model? Is this a thing? You know, what is it? Okay. Good golly. Keyboard went to sleep. fun. Might need to show the sustained keys. I don't know. All right, so it's running. We have a parse error, but and these are not errors; they're warnings. And it's okay though. And this actually is not true anymore. So actually, if I clear it and run it again, maybe we'll get the latest and greatest warnings. Piano GD, note display GD, piano keys GD. That's funny. Yeah, it's like our signals are using it, but it's not using the function. It's funny. Should have committed those changes before that. I'm running some risks here. But basically, we want the indicator. This is the finger indicator. I have it so fast. It's not going to the next one. There's a bit of a bug there. It's massive, I don't know. Mm. Okay, we'll pull a chain request here. Milestone. Oh, cool. Interesting. Oh, I can get Copilot review right here. Not support GG script and JSON. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, honestly, Godot development in a lot of ways it feels very fringe, very not very mature, lacking tooling, lacking standard things like what is the de facto unit testing framework, linting formatting, code conventions, architecture patterns. You know, game development is a bit of a broad topic, and there's many architectures, and it's much more complex than web development, I guess, in some ways, or much more diverse, maybe. Diversity can lead to complexity. How can I get these to run in CI, things like that? We're on a web development framework. I can just have a really good tooling and mature project up and running in like 30 minutes. CI, integrations, deployment, linting, testing, you know, you name it, the whole thing. That's why I just wish Apple would kind of support Web MIDI in Safari, and then the web would be a viable platform or target for this game, which is designed to run on tablets, and it needs that MIDI integration so I can see the notes accurately. And we can't use note recognition through audio. It's not reliable enough. So we're going to squash and merge this pull request. We'll get the main branch again, pull in the latest changes. Good to go. I didn't go through all the squiggles. And for example, like how do you just tell the Godot LSP to ignore a specific warning? To ignore. This is for 3.3. Yeah, it was right. Warning ID. Huh. To ignore specific warnings in one file, insert a special comment in the form. To the right of the warning's description. Okay, let's try that. If I load it in the Godot editor, in the GD, and what file was it? Again, it's right here, the debugger. So let's hop over here. Integer division, ignore. Ah, it's now a decorator syntax. All right, good. Learning, like I say, I'm learning. Complaining while I learn. It's not always that bad. We have the right to complain. That's a bit of a problem. I can't just jam it in right there. So, oh, come on. This is another weird thing. Godot kind of making its own editor. There's just little usability issues, but I need to actually put it there, I think, because my formatter had split that across. Lines, and I think honestly I could probably make these named variables. See, watch when I drag, it like starts a little bit late. If I wait and then drag, so just weird little things like that. If I drag immediately, it's like it doesn't even pick it up until like there's some latency where the click then drag needs to happen. Whereas you do that in VS Code, it's just like, or a browser, it's just like point, point, right away. That's the expectation. Hopefully fix that one. That's not the case anymore. I don't understand why it keeps telling me that. Look again. No, we don't have that. And okay, I guess we can kind of ignore this one. All right, let's clear them all. We'll run it again, and hopefully I'll have less warnings here. Nice. I like it. Yeah, I'll just remove this print debugging thing we're not using anymore. Alrighty then. Hey, I think we made some good progress getting the project a little bit more healthy. We're up to date with 4.4. We're only going to be producing meaningful errors. Clean up our global namespace so we don't have a bunch of classes that we're just exporting. I'm going to take a little bit of a break here and plan the next feature, but I think we're going to work on something significant here. You know, practice timer could be meaningful. My goal is today probably I'm going to try to get this on my tablet so I can take it to a keyboard and just test it out, like actual usage, and then I can continue other feature development. And some of this is going to be architectural, so it's not just a single screen, but rather we can, like when it launches right now, it's just like you're in the exercise, and this is not a very great user interface. And honestly, I'm having trouble even refactoring this to change things like font size or alignment because of the way it's generated programmatically. So I think some architecture change could help me have a better user experience. So I'll continue that in another session. Okay, well, thanks for stopping by. I hope you're doing well and have a great day.